Now, two other things I want to say before I get on to looking at example charts. The first is the question, is the chart radical? Now, radical, again, has a slightly different meaning in Horary astrology to what you might be used to. And what it essentially means is, does the symbolism of the chart, of the significators, aptly describe the matter being asked about? So, is the symbolism reflecting the question? And so, for example, does the condition and the location of the querent describe their situation? Does it describe the person? Does it describe the context of the question? Can you make a link between the symbolism of the astrology and the real life situation? You need to be able to do that. You need to say, yes, the chart is radical, to be confident in giving a judgment of the chart. Likewise, another factor of radicality might be, does the significator for the quesited, the thing being asked about, does the symbolism of that aptly describe the situation, or does the moon describe the situation? So we need to feel confident that the chart is radical in order to go ahead and answer the question. Does the symbolism fit the question at hand? So, again, we need a good understanding of the significations of the different signs and the houses and the planets involved, because these are the characters, right? These are the in a horary chart, that the planets really come alive as the specific actors, players, events, situations in the question. Yeah. So, in this question here, should I buy the dog? This is literally the dog. The sun is the dog. Jupiter is the person asking the question. Does the nature of, for example, Jupiter in Pisces fit the situation for the person asking the question, which we'll look at soon? And so, of course, background information, context is essential. It's not just, you can't just have this question, should I buy a dog, and be able to answer it without knowing background information to the situation the person is in, where the question is coming from, why they're asking it, some details about their current life. So that's important. And it's said by my teacher, and I have no reason to argue with him, that with horary, a third of the time that a question is asked, you'll get a really good, really clear answer and guidance to the matter at hand. A third of the time, you'll be able to give an answer, but the symbolism, the chart isn't totally strikingly radical, really clear, but it's good enough. It's good enough, you can give an answer. And a third of the time, you can't give an answer. The chart is not radical, or there are warnings from the astrology to not give an answer. And that leads me quite nicely on to this theme of strictures. A stricture against judgment is a really critical, crucial, vital, add another synonym in there, factor in whether you can give an answer to a horary chart. So a stricture against judgment is a very special category of astrological features, totally unique to horary. You can't use these in any other branch of astrology. But there are warnings from the spirits, from the mystery, from the divine, warnings to the astrologer to say, don't give an answer. And, I mentioned this earlier. Reason could be, for example, it's showing that they've already made up their own mind. It could also be, it could show that the astrologer's judgment is off. It could literally be showing you if you give an answer, you're going to give the wrong answer. You're not going to help the client. It's like this incredible built-in safety mechanism that the astrology is showing. In this instance, it's not making a judgment about your skill as an astrologer, but it's saying for possibly unknown reasons, you're not going to give a useful, helpful answer to the client in this case. And actually, you may harm themselves or yourself in trying to judge the question. And it could also be as simple as the client won't be moved by this question, that you're ineffective to help them, even if you gave them the right answer. It wouldn't move their soul, it wouldn't move them forwards. And so there's a warning. Don't give a judgment. And it's really important, horary is a ritualistic practice. It is ritual. It is a matter of communing, connecting with spirit. And it's really important to honor the stricture. And sometimes as astrologers, we don't know why the stricture's there. And it could be that you have a really radical chart. It could be that the symbolism fits perfectly, gives what looks like a really clear answer and guidance to the client. And yet there's a stricture. And we really shouldn't override that. It's there for a reason, and we don't always know the reason. But it's really good practice to heed that. Yeah, and I'm not going to go through all the strictures now, and the different things they show, but just to give you an example to kind of make it slightly concrete. If you have Saturn in the 7th house of a horary chart, so if Saturn was anywhere in this house, the 7th house is the house of the other. It's another person in the situation. And so Saturn in the 7th, in this case, the 7th is the astrologer, because we're not outside the matter objectively passing judgment. We are, by virtue of being asked this question, we are involved, engaged emotionally, energetically, psychically in the matter at hand. And so the astrologer becomes symbolized by the 7th house, the other. Saturn as the greater malefic in traditional astrology, Saturn there points to the fact that the judgment of the astrologer is off in this case and is not going to help matters. So Saturn in the 7th is a stricture. I'll give you one more example. If, for example, the three, in terms of the rise, so the ascendant here, this number here is the degree of the ascendant, the degree of the sign on the ascendant. So 19 degrees Pisces on the ascendant. If the last 3 degrees of any sign is on the ascendant, so anything from 27 degrees 0 minutes to 29 degrees 59 minutes of any sign, the last 3 degrees is on the ascendant. That is another stricture. That is basically saying it is too late. Last degrees rising, it is too late to ask the question. Now, that could be for any manner of reasons, and you don't need to know what that is, but it could be, for example, the person is no longer in a position to influence the situation, influence the outcome. Matters have progressed too far. It could be that they've already made their own mind up and that they're not going to change their mind. So those are a couple of strictures, and there's a few more, but that's just to give you a flavor of the ways in which the chart itself can warn you as an astrologer not to judge the question.